And today there's really two choices on how do you grow the industry. Do you say I have a fixed number of players, the players that we have today, and do I find new ways to monetize those players to get more money from the players that I have? Or do you think about how do I expand the business I have by finding new players and adding those to the base of players that already play? Our focus on Xbox.
Remember, we're already 5 years into this generation, and all the early adopters who love Xbox and are down already got their boxes, right? So what they're targeting is the people who are now going to want to come over because what? Because now Xbox has all these games, right? All these games, Game Pass looks good now because there's so many games in Game Pass that people want, right? So they're going ahead and they're saying, okay, all you late adopters who didn't think that it was smart to go buy an Xbox before, you wanted to wait to the value proposition was that much higher. Guess what? Here you go. You're welcome. You now get to go and experience Xbox, but at a higher premium cost. Should have waited. You know, that's it.
Hey everyone. Before we dive into the video, I just wanted to preface, I hope you listened to the whole video. This isn't me bashing on Xbox. This is me asking serious questions, the legit questions, you know, going through the actual article that we're going to go through and finding and seeing the dynamics of the current situation when in reality, right now, even with the proposed price increase, there is still a lot to be, you know, celebrated with Xbox and Game Pass as a combination of two. And I don't see Microsoft shouting this from the rooftops. And I have to question why. And we will be exploring this in the video. So I do hope you enjoy this video. Now we can start. So I want to start off this video by saying that this is probably going to be the last time I talk about these price hikes. I think I've talked about it enough. I've made one video already about it. I've had a whole stream dedicated to it, so feel free to go check out those. But in this one, I thought it was quite interesting because I was referenced that statement by Phil Spencer, and then what C Money said, and both of them are kind of alluding to the same thing. Now, obviously, the person that posted that Phil Spencer tweet thought that was the gotcha moment of a lifetime, when in reality, they clearly didn't understand what was being said there. Those people that already have an Xbox are fine, and none of this really applies to them, which is exactly what C Money was saying. But at the same time, they're looking to monetize other players, other platforms, the new players, and try to bring those into the Xbox ecosystem because games are getting more expensive and they need to recoup that money by making it more, feasible. And that is by pushing those games out to a wider audience so more money comes in. And again, that's pretty much on point with what C Money was saying. As he was saying, those that have an Xbox now, they're not really affected by this, are they? It's only those that are new customers. But see, here's the problem, and as you can see this on screen, and we're going to get into this article by Windows Central because I think it's a very valid article. But it says, the Xbox price hikes mean that the Xbox Series S 1TB now costs more than the equivalent PS5 digital and Astrobot. So which would you choose if you were, buying a brand new console? And at the end of the day, no matter how you look at it, with the majority, or I'd say at least 75% to 80% of Xbox games going over to PlayStation pretty much day and date at this point. I know we've had a couple this year already that hasn't, but they were pretty much in pre-production way before this whole decision to go third party ever existed. So who knows whether those will appear at a later date or ever, if ever, right? That's why I'm saying about 75%. The value proposition to the average consumer tells you that the PS5 in general might just be the better option. Because at the end of the day, you get the PlayStation 5 exclusives, depending on when they actually plan or if they release them. And of course, the Xbox exclusives, or Xbox games, I should now say, because they have very few exclusives. Well, they have no true exclusives, because everything releases on PC. But I wanted to get into this article because there's quite a bit in here that I think is quite important. But this value proposition that they have right now, we're not even talking about comparing it to the Series X, which is valued at $600. We're talking about the Series S, which by and large is not going to compete with a PS5, considering Xbox has this amazing habit of just running games at 30 FPS. Obviously, the Series S can run 60, but it's what the developers are choosing to do with it. But then there's the brand image as well. So it's a bit of a tricky position Microsoft has put themselves in. But let's get into this article here. Microsoft's price bump flips the script on value, making PlayStation's digital console the better deal right now. And that is entirely correct. You can see here, perhaps the most striking and embarrassing, really, is how this stacks up against the Xbox's recent pricing changes. The PS5 Slim Digital 1TB is now $30 cheaper than the equivalent Series S with 1TB storage. Notice it's not referring to the 5TB storage, but the equivalent 1TB storage, which recently saw a price hike to $430. For those looking for the best bang for their buck, the value equation shifted dramatically in favor of PlayStation. Now, there is a lot of varying factors here that still make the Xbox in general a better proposition. But Microsoft isn't shouting these from the rooftops. I was at family's house today, which is why I'm releasing this video so late. But while I was there and I was watching TV, I saw a number of PlayStation ads appearing for Forza Horizon 5 and Indiana Jones on TV, but not a single one advertising for Xbox. All of these games, and my brother-in-law turned around and goes, "Oh, cool. Indiana Jones is for thing." I mean, he's not a gamer. He just plays maybe like games like 1 or 2 hours a month. He's not a true gamer, right? He's what you'd call a true casual gamer. He works most of his time, spends time with his family, and sits down occasionally for a quick game. So he doesn't like go onto the web or anything like that. He is literally what you call a typical casual who just would walk into a store, see something and buy it. And he didn't know Indiana Jones was available on Xbox because there was nothing indicating that it was there. He recognized the Forza name and said, "Oh, when did this come onto PlayStation?" I mean, it's the image being sent out is completely and utterly wrong, right? And this is a big problem, but we're going to get to it. Now, when we're looking at the Xbox Series S versus the PS5 Digital, before this week, I'd wholeheartedly recommend the Xbox Series S as the best value entry point into current generation gaming. I would have as well. Right now, it's not. If these prices have already kicked in, but up until then, it was definitely the best way to get into it. Tack onto it with a bit of Game Pass, and you're sailing. It's perfect for portability, but with the recent price hike, it's much harder to recommend to most people. Ironically, I stumbled upon this PlayStation deal while updating my new Xbox Series S review to reflect the loss of its once great $299 price point. As of this month, Microsoft has raised the price of the standard 512GB Series S up to $379, with the 1TB model at $430. The price gap between the Series S and the PS5's offering has narrowed uncomfortably. The Slim Digital, which lacks the technical compromises of the Series S, is priced at $449. Even more embarrassing, Astrobot PS5 Slim Digital bundles are currently available for less than that, which is $399.99. So basically, you can get a free $799.99, but for an extra $20, you get a game, and you get extra 512TB hard drive. Or you can go for the 1TB model, or you can get, you pay $30 less and get a PS5 Slim. Obviously, it doesn't have a drive, but neither does the Series S. But you get Astrobot built into it. You get Astrobot with it and Astrobot Playroom. So you're getting quite a bit for your value for bucks there, right? Now, when you actually compare the actual specs, you can see that the CPU in the Series X is, just a bit more powerful. There's definitely a graphical difference. The RAM is there, and we've already seen what problems that's caused. Everything else is kind of self-explanatory. To be clear, Xbox remains the best value platform for me personally. And here is where I was saying that Microsoft really needs to shout these from the rooftop. Because if they're not, I just don't understand how they're expecting to shift the consoles at $730, $600, $430 when they couldn't really shift them at $299 and $400. Do you see where I'm coming? Now I know the 730 is the special edition, and you're going to pay a little bit more of a premium for that. I totally get it, but I'm just giving you the spectrum there. If people weren't buying these consoles for the original prices, what makes you think that they're going to buy them for the higher prices? I was speaking to my son today, and he just said they're crazy. They're stupid. There's no real reason why anyone would buy an Xbox at that price. And then I said Game Pass, and he goes, yeah, but you don't need a console. You can just play it on your TV, he said. Or I've got a PC, I can just get PC Game Pass, which is actually cheaper than Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So where's the value proposition for me to go and buy an Xbox? And it's a good question, right? It's an actual good question that no one seems to have the answer for outside of the one that's glaringly looking at you in the face. There is no value proposition. All the games that you have on your Xbox are generally available on PC. Sorry, I hit them. All the games you have on your Xbox are generally available on PC. The only real value that you have is your back catalog. That is it. Your back catalog is the only thing that potentially is the value. But as it says here, thanks to Xbox Game Pass library and the sheer number of games I play on it, it's still offering other very consumer-friendly services, such as cross-platform purchasing, which is basically play anywhere, free cloud saving. There are all the things I love about the ecosystem and keep me loyal to it. These are the services that Microsoft really needs to push out there. The Play Anywhere, Game Pass, Day One, cross-platform purchasing, cloud saving, so you can stop from one and go to the other. That campaign of this is an Xbox, this is an Xbox, this is an Xbox, they need to push that further at this point to show that people are playing on their Xbox, then they go to their ROG Ally, then they go to their PC, whatever. That continuity continues through Game Pass. But they're not doing that. They're not. And that's a problem. But for those who aren't invested in Xbox Game Pass and want access to PlayStation exclusives or even former Xbox exclusives like Forza, Sea of Thieves, and Indiana Jones, the PS5 Slim Digital is the more tempting option right now. And I can't disagree with what Windows Central is saying here. It's also worth noting differences in design philosophy. The Series S sacrifices performance and graphical fidelity for its compact and portable design. I just don't think that's really a key factor here. So, serving as a lighter version of the Series X, meanwhile, the PS5 Slim offers identical performance to the disk drive model and allows you to add a drive later if you choose, which again adds flexibility, right? There is no flexibility with the Series S. You go digital and that's it. You have to stay digital. With the PS5, you at least get the flexibility that if later down the line you want to add a drive, you can. Right now, for the price, PlayStation simply offers more. And it's crazy to think that in this day and age, we're at a position like this, but I personally just don't understand what Microsoft is trying to do here. Are they trying to push people away from the console? Are they trying to decentivize the console even more than they have already? I honestly don't know. I wish I could answer that question more clearly. But when you're looking at the price point of a Series S being $49.99 and the PS5 with Astrobot appearing at $399.99, and that's directly from PlayStation as well, you've got to start questioning this price hike from Microsoft. What is the end goal here? Is it like what Phil was saying and what C-Money was saying, to monetize, new customers, to get them to pay more to join the ecosystem? And if that's the case, do they genuinely believe people are going to pay $600-700 for a Series X? It's a good question, and one that once time plays out, we will see the answer. Because right now, anything that anyone says, I say, you say, or anyone else says is pure speculation. The market will decide whether they are happy to pay $600 for a Series X or $700 for the special edition. But one thing is for certain, Xbox right now is having its most prolific time of its life. Towards the end of last year, they released bangers back to back. Whether it's Starfield's update, whether it's the Diablo update, whether it's Call of Duty, Indiana Jones, Stalker, straight into this year, you had Avowed, you've got Towerborn, you had South of Midnight, and I'm probably missing a couple here and there, right, that came along with it. You've also got day one games that aren't from Microsoft that are part of the Game Pass service day and date, like Clair Obscure Expedition 33, which is up there. You've got games like Doom, Dark Ages just around the corner, and more surprises coming this year now that GTA 6 has decided to leave the landscape to 2026. The point I'm making is right now Xbox is having its best year of all time. It's having the best time it's experienced. It is delivering bangers after bangers, and it is delivering such a enormous amount of games. This price hike just didn't make sense right now. This would have been their perfect opportunity not only to garner more people into the actual ecosystem, but to get people invested either in an Xbox or Game Pass. But maybe that's why this price hike is there. It's trying to get more people into Game Pass. PC already saw like a 5 million increase in its user base, taking it to 15 million users on Game Pass. Is that where they're trying to go with this? I mean, to me, it makes no sense. Clearly, they've got a plan, and they're seeing where this plan is going. But this just feels like such a missed opportunity to really capitalize on something that was such an easy win for them when all they had to do was nothing. But yes, I totally get that the two statements at the beginning of the video, they kind of work together. They're both saying the same thing. But is raising the price really the right option right now? I'm not so sure. And I think at this point, considering Microsoft isn't shouting about Game Pass, they're not shouting about all the games that they're doing. The only advertising I see of Xbox games on YouTube or TV right now is basically the ones going to PlayStation. What sort of brand image are they trying to, or what sort of message are they trying to say? And when Sony right now is money hatting trailers of Xbox, showing off exclusive stuff to their community that's not being shown to the Xbox community, at some point you have to wonder, what is the master plan here? I'm not so sure. I'd love to know, and we'll probably find out in the next 6 months. The June showcase is just around the corner. The Summer Games Fest is almost here too, which I'll be streaming both. Apparently Half-Life 3 is supposed to be there. Who knows? But I will say one thing, and I'll end it there. Microsoft is, walking on some really dodgy waters, I'll say. And I'm not saying that in a negative way. But I think their experimentation phase is starting to get to a point where not only are people outside of the company really questioning their sanity, but does anyone even in Microsoft understand what's actually going on and what they're actually doing? Or are they just throwing things at the kitchen sink at the wall and hoping something will stick? These price increases just didn't make sense. And at a time when they are releasing, the best games of their time, right? They are releasing so many good games that I'm struggling to play them all. I mean, you've even got Oblivion Remastered that just dropped, right? Fantastic rendition of Oblivion. It looks so good. It's not a remaster, it's a remake, and I will stand by that. Xbox right now is having the best time of its life. And the first thing Microsoft does in order to, by trying to capitalize on that pure, amazing momentum, is to make sure people can't buy their console. Make that make sense to me, because it's not making any sense to me. Now, some of you in the chat are going to say, well, the console isn't their priority. And I get that. I totally do. But the majority of Game Pass subscribers come from console. So there has to be some priority placed onto it. Right? Because they're still releasing the console. But why would you do this now? Why would you do this now? Why not ride it out for a few months and see where it's going? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. And if you've made it this far, leave a hashtag made it to the end. And hopefully you enjoyed the video. Because if you did, 65% of you aren't subscribed yet. And I'd really love for you to be subscribed, because it really helps the channel grow. It really helps the algorithm. And it really helps me with getting opportunities to be able to bring you even better content. Naturally, it's liking and subscribing, hitting that bell to stay up to date with all content I release is absolutely free. It costs you nothing. But if you want to support me further, you can through the super thanks underneath the video, or by simply becoming a YouTube member, where you get content like this before anyone else. That said, if you want to interact with me further or with the community that I've fostered, look in the description below. You'll find a link to my Discord. You can find me on social media like X and TikTok and other places as well. All of that information is in the description below. Hopefully I'll see you in other mediums as well. Well, folks, that's the video. Sorry it's taken a bit long, this one, but I thought I needed to get this out there and just address it. So with that said, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. As always, remain legend.